everyone, it's Transpire's resident cosmetologist coming at you not so live. I didn't say this last time. My name is Sailor Surreal. My pronouns are they, them. And today is Valentine's Day. Or well, it will be when this is posted. And so on a day like Valentine's Day, I want to celebrate all kinds of love, not just romantic love. And that includes my love for our community. So if you're watching this, I love you. So last week, getting right into things, we talked about our base. And this week, we're going to move on to eyes. So I briefly touched on eyeshadow colors last week, so I'm going to go in more depth with that today. If you look at my eyeshadow palettes, you'll see a lot of reds, warm tones, fall tones, because these warm tones work great with my pink undertones, and they work great to make the green in my eyes pop. So what you're going to do is follow your handy dandy color wheel. If you have eyes like mine and you want the green to pop more, you're going to use more reds or pinks. That stay in that color family. If you have green eyes that you want more yellow pops, you're going to use more purple tones. If you have blue eyes, go for more orange tones, but also with blue eyes, earthy tones work great. Bronzes, dark browns, those are also going to help your blue eyes pop. If you have brown eyes, this is where it gets tricky. So for brown eyes, I like to do a lot of different things. So it depends on your shade. If you want your brown eyes to look darker, go for lighter shades of brown. If you want them to look lighter, brighter, go for deeper tones that are going to contrast that. But also the fun thing with brown eyes is that you can use a lot of different colors. Because of the fact that brown eyes aren't usually completely brown, no matter what color you put on, it's probably going to complement your brown eyes in some way, make them look a little bit of a different tone. So, of course, when I'm saying all this is just tips and tricks to help you achieve the look that you want to do. But if you have blue eyes and you want to do blue eyeshadow or purple eyeshadow, I completely encourage that. The great part of makeup is experimentation, finding what works best for you, what gets you the look that you like. So I'm going to start by lining my eyes. Now, normally I do this last, but I feel like it's the one that needs the least explanation, so it's good to go over it first in this instance. So I'm going to use white, and this is a ColourPop cream gel liner. They're amazing. They stay on forever, they're easy to apply, and they come in a lot of vivid colors. So I use the white to do my underline, my waterline, my bottom waterline, and this gives my eyes kind of a bigger look. That makes them look wider, which is what I like. I like the doe-eyed look. If you want your eyes to look smaller, more sultry, I recommend doing this in black or brown, a natural tone like that, which will make your eye look smaller and, more sultry, more of a vibe like that. Which, don't get me wrong, I love that vibe. I just find that it's not really my style. My style is non-binary, oversized toddler, which is what I like to look like. So I'm just gonna go in, do my whole waterline, and the way I do that is hold the skin and pull it down slightly. You don't want to be rough with that. This skin right here and your eyelids is the thinnest skin on your body. So you want to be gentle, just enough to give you better access. And just lightly glide the liner on there. And if you go under the waterline, that's fine. You can usually just kind of wipe it away and then go back in for any touch-ups. So I like a real vibrant white there. Makes me feel like I have wider eyes. And I just think it's really cute. But like I said, if you want thinner eyes, you want smaller eyes, you want to look more sultry, more sexy, go for a black instead of the white. That's if you're going for sultry. If you just want your eyes to look a little bit thinner, go for a brown if you're looking for a more natural tone. You could also do a lighter brown, not necessarily a darker brown. You just play with it. Find what works for you that fits your style. So I'm going to move on to eyeshadow. And I have a couple of different palettes here that I really like. There's the ColourPop palette. These are cheap. I think this one was $12 and it's got 12 colors. They're good quality. They feel nice and smooth. Then we also have Morphe, which is also a pretty good deal. You get 35 pan colors. And I think this one was, I don't remember. It's been so long. I think at most it was about $40. So for these brands, you're paying about $1 per pan, per color, which is a pretty good deal, as opposed to Huda Beauty, which is very small. You've got 9 colors, and it was $40. So yes, this is good quality, but for the price, it's so much bigger. You see what I'm saying? So just know that there are things that work in your price point as well. You don't always have to go above and beyond for quality makeup. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Like I said, this only $12. And they have a lot of palettes like this and a bunch of different arrays of shades for around $9 to $12 for 9 to 12 pans. Like, it's a good deal. It's not going to break the bank, and they're good quality. Ooh, didn't mean to kick my stand there. So that's actually the palette I'm going to be using today. But I'm also going to dig into this one a little bit because it has some pinks in it that this one doesn't necessarily have. And I don't know if you can tell, but pink is my favorite color. I love pink. Can't get enough of it. So a lot of people use eyeshadow primers. It's not a necessity. It helps the eyeshadow stick without creasing. But I don't normally use any. You can also use concealer. You can also use foundation, although I don't recommend that because it can be quite heavy, whereas concealer usually is a little bit lighter. So that's what I'm going to use today. But you don't have to use anything. You can just go in straight with the eyeshadow. So I'm just gonna do that. And that. And just kind of pile it on there. Doesn't need to be perfect. You're gonna cover it up anyway. Now, normally I would do my base before this. However, since today is all about eyes, I don't really want to do my base. I've been breaking out a lot lately, and I don't want to add to that by doing a lot of extra makeup on top. So we're just gonna blend that out. And I'm just using my finger here because I'm not worried about being super particular. So I'm just blending that out with my finger. Really easy. You can sort of see a difference. I look more pale right there. And honestly, you can just throw on a little bit of color matching and leave without eyeshadow. You don't need it. None of this is a need. But I'm going to go in, and I think I'm going to start with this red. So use a fluffy brush because I want to blend this out. But first I'm going to take this angled brush and dip it into this deep red. And I'm going to put that right here. Now I'm going to end up blending this out. I'm just kind of packing it in there because you want a deep corner color that lightens up as you blend it out. So there's no need to be really precise with packing it in right here since you're going to blend it out anyway. I find it's just good to put about an equal amount of product in both areas. Like if you think that it's probably about the same amount, it should be good. And then I mentioned this last week, you're going to hold the end of your brush when you blend it out. It's going to feel less controlled, but it'll give you a nice blend. So I just go back and forth on my crease. Little circles work. You're just blending it out. There's no real need to be precise, but you do want to use a fluffy brush for this. Fluffy brushes blend the best. Now, blending on top of wet concealer can be a little bit difficult. You can put powder down first if you feel that'll help. It just depends on your skin type. I find it a little bit hard to blend into wet concealer. I'm also going to move up a little bit just for this area because it's not blending out very well. There we go. Sorry about this. I got to bring in a mirror. I can't see super well in the camera. So that's just what we're going to do. We're just going to follow that on this other side. Now, you can do one eye and then move on to the other, or you can do it like I'm doing and do it at the same time. I like to do it at the same time. It makes me kind of able to judge the balance as I'm going. That way I can add more or take away as I'm moving through it. Now, that's about blended the same. I need to move up, blend this a little bit more. If you find it's not blending out super well, like you have an area that's just not blending, you can move up on the brush just to blend it a little bit more. It's going to give you a little bit more control, and it's going to put a little bit more pressure in where you're blending. Okay, now I'm going to move on, but this time I'm going to dip into the Huda Beauty because I do want more of a pink tone and less of a red. And I'm just going to take that, kind of pat it around, and then blend it in that same area. And it also helps to have multiple mirrors so you can kind of judge different distances, different angles. But that's not, super important. If I'm doing my makeup just for myself, I usually just use a close-up mirror so that I can really see what I'm doing. But I will admit having one that's a little bit farther away is a big help. So I'm not seeing the same kind of build up on both sides, so I'm just going to dip in a little bit more. I just go in and build up, add to it, just kind of fan out. And then I'm going to go in with a deeper purple. I'm just going to put this on the end of my fluffy brush. You don't have to use multiple brushes. You can use the same brush. I like to use multiple most of the time just because I find it easier. I'm just going to put that right in that corner where I put the red. Just a teensy bit. tap it off of this brush. Ooh, that's a loud noise. I'm gonna tap it off of this brush and then blend it out. Just right into that crease. This is going for more depth, but more of a cool tone, a pink depth rather than that red. I just think that that red was a little too much, a little not what I was going for, you know? So then we'll do that on this side. I think there might not be as much pink on this side, so I'll go in, add some more. And this is all eye makeup is, just adding a little bit more, blending it out, adding a little bit more, blending it out. The key to a good eye look is blending. And that's just going back and forth with a fluffy brush over and over and over again. Just back and forth. I think that looks a little bit better. Now I'm going to take this light pink that I used to blend out the top of my eyes, and I'm going to go under my bottom lashes. I'm just going to take it a little bit in. I think this really makes the look, it makes it look more seamless, in my opinion. I'm just going to go on the other side, do that same thing. Now this is just that light toned pink. And I'm just blending that out here. But I'm also going to go in with that dark pink under my lash line, but with a different brush. This one's very big, very fluffy, so it's hard to get precision. So what I'm going to do is take this brush, it's a flat one, go into that dark purpley pink, and just add it to the corner right there, just a little bit. I'm going to take that up and kind of smudge it down just where I think it looks right. And I'll probably go in and blend that a little bit on the upper side, but that's not what I'm worried about right at this moment. Now I'll probably have to go back and fix some of my waterline, just because I think some pink has gotten on it and the white doesn't really hide that. I'm gonna go in and blend that. Blend that. There we go. Now, I like to do half cut creases, but not necessarily real cut creases, because cutting it, that's a lot of work. So for those of you who don't know, a cut crease is when you take concealer and you carve out your lid so that all you're left with is the blending. And then you go in and you put another shade or couple shades on that concealer area. So a half cut crease is basically the same thing, but you only come out halfway on your lids. And I like the look of that. But going in and carving out with concealer and patting on afterwards, it's a lot. And the concealer feels heavy on my eyelids. It's not for me. But the look, I enjoy. So I'm going to take, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to take this BH Cosmetics palette. I do enjoy BH Cosmetics brushes. However, this palette, it's not my favorite in terms of opacity. The colors seem to need to be built up quite a bit. But overall, it's good price, and you do get quite a few colors. So I got this palette for the colors, for the shades, just because it's very pretty. And I wanted all these different colors. But, you know, I used it once, saw that the opacity wasn't really there, and didn't really use it a whole lot after that. But I'm going to use it today. So I'm going to go in with, let's see, this brush. It's another one that's almost flat, but it's just a little bit fluffier. And I'm gonna pick up this red shade. I know I said I wanted more pinks, but these pinks are all cool toned. And if you can't tell, I'm working with warm toned pinks. So I'm gonna lay down this base of red first and then put a pink over it. So I'm just gonna pat that down in this area that I want it, which is this area of where you would do a half cut crease. There's also quite a bit of fallout from this palette, I feel, but not nearly as much as some others. So I'm just building that up right here. And obviously when you carve it out with concealer, you are gonna have more contrast. And also, if you want more contrast, you can go with more contrasting colors. This is just the palette I've decided to stick with for today. So I'm gonna go in, put down the first layer, pat down a second layer. And before I get to mascara, I'm gonna say, I use normal mascara. I don't use waterproof mascara because I find that it's hard to take off. If you're like me and you don't use waterproof mascara, don't do your mascara or eyeliner before you apply a setting spray. You will look like you just cried. It will run down your face. It will ruin all of the work you put in. Just a FYI, don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna go with this pink. This red is actually a much prettier color than I imagined. It doesn't look as pretty in the palette. I'm gonna take this pink and just kind of pat it on top. It's a shimmery, lighter toned pink. It's not going to cover this red, not really, but it is going to give it more of a pink tone and some shimmeriness. You can't really tell on camera. I'm seeing a bit of a difference in real life though. So I'm also going to take a pink highlighter I have and kind of cover this area as well, just because this isn't giving me as much shimmer as I was expecting. So that'll build up the shimmer. Okay. Getting some of that excess powder out. Now this is an Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighter palette. It's very expensive. I think it was also $40 for 6 highlights. It was a gift from a very good friend of mine. So I'm just gonna go in with this pink color, this pink toned highlight, and put that just right there on the eyelid. Now you can't really tell. I think it might help to kind of blend it out a little bit. It is looking more shimmery in person. I'm having a hard time getting it to show up on camera, but that's okay. So I'm gonna take some, put it on this other eye. Now I also want to say, a lot of people will assume that these are classes for specific people, for just, you know, trans women or something like that. But that's not the case. I'm doing these classes for anybody that wants to learn how to do makeup. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't even matter if you're part of my community. If you are, well, if you are someone who wants to learn how to do makeup, that's who I'm doing these classes for. It is not my job to gatekeep who can do makeup. That's too much work. I don't do that much work. It is my job simply to help teach those who want to learn. And that's what I plan on doing. Now, I want to say my community does come first, in my mind, in my heart. But that's simply because we don't have a lot of resources for us. And I'm not saying just people who relate to me. I'm saying anybody under the trans umbrella or anybody under the non-binary umbrella, anybody that feels outcasted and like they don't have the resources they need. That's who takes priority. All right, just going over that bit where I got some pink on my waterline. There we go. Now, I think I'm gonna call this good. It's not necessarily my favorite, but that's okay. Sometimes you do things and you realize, maybe I should have done it differently. But it is what it is. That's the beauty of makeup. If you don't like it, you can wipe it off and try again and again and again and again. There's no harm. Now, I have these little stamps. They're called cutie marks, like My Little Pony. And this one is a little heart shape. It's just a little eyeliner heart-shaped stamp this way. And so I love using these. I have one that's shaped like a star. I have this heart one, and I have a little crescent moon one. I think they're so cute. They were $6 a piece. And since it's Valentine's Day, I'm just gonna add a little heart. I'm gonna add a second one. If you think I'm overboard, you have not seen the half of it. These are just hearts. I once glued a bunch of tiny rhinestones to my face. Although I definitely could have gone overboard there too. I think it was just enough. Now these stamps work pretty great. I have very few complaints. Especially on camera, you can't really see the areas where they didn't touch completely. But in real life, you can. So I'm going to take this eyeliner and just go in and touch it up just enough that the whole heart is blacked out. That's for this side too. There we go. Now, that was a little unnecessary, but that's okay. So, I don't like doing winged eyeliner. There are a bunch of different ways to do it. That'll probably be its own episode. That'll probably be its own class just because there's so many different ways you can do eyeliner, and there's so many different types of eyeliner with gel, liquid, pencil, pen, liquid eyeliner with a felt tip. There's so many different kinds. So that'll probably be its own class just because there's so much to offer there. Especially because that doesn't even get to the different styles that you can do it. So now I'm gonna do my eyelashes just real quick, and then I'm gonna call it good. Ooh, no, I'm not. I'm gonna add a little bit of glitter first to my inner eye corner, just a tad right there. Now this is a liquid eyeshadow. I don't usually like those because they can feel kind of heavy, but they do dry down. And if you can get one that's shimmery like this, it makes for a great little accent. Which I'm then going to kind of tap out, make it not so concentrated. You can also use these as a highlighter, just a little, if you want. That's the fun thing about makeup is it can say that it's an eyeshadow, but who's really stopping you? Now, next I'm going to take this eyelash curler. It's not a traditional one. It's just a mini one. It's a little baby. And I'm going to curl my eyelashes just real quick. You want to do this before mascara, just because if you do it after mascara, your mascara can cause your eyelashes to stick to the curler, which can cause it some pain, some pulling. And I've never had that problem. I've done it with mascara on my eyes a few times, and it pulls a little bit. It can be like just a teensy bit painful. I've never had it be like super horrible, but just in case, you know, maybe don't do it. Okay. So I'm just going back and forth, curling and recurling, just seeing how it looks. You can't really tell in the camera, but they are a little bit more curled. They're pretty, I have pretty small lashes, so it's hard to kind of tell unless I put mascara on that they're there. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that. And there we go. I'm gonna call that good, I think. And I just hold it for about 5 seconds each time and then move it a little bit, curl 5 seconds. You don't have to hold it super long. The more curled you want them, the more you should hold it probably. You can go straight to the base of your eyes and curl them at the base, or you can pull out and kind of curl them in the middle. I do a bit of both, just depending on where I'm curling it. Okay, so I'm gonna take some mascara now. This is actually a sample I got. Mascara expires after 3 months because you use it on your eyes, and so it's got very sensitive bacteria on it that can multiply, and then you're putting it back in a sensitive area. So you should replace it after every 3 months. I don't know anybody that does. You should, but I don't know anybody that does. But please don't keep it longer than 6 months if you're going to hold on to it past 3. It can cause eye infections. It can give you pink eye. It's not good for your eyes. If you don't use it very often, I would say maybe you're good, but at the same time, the bacteria is still growing in there, even when you're not using it. Okay, then I'm just gonna do my outer corner really quick. And different mascara wands do different things. However, all of the formulas are almost identical. So if you find a wand that you really like, I would suggest keeping the wand and buying cheap mascara to use the wand in. However, if you aren't on a budget and you can afford to, you know, keep going for the mascara you really like, I would suggest doing that because the formulas, while similar and very, very similar, are a little bit different, and so you might not get the exact results that you want to see. I'm gonna go in and do my lower lash line, and I just put it on there and do a little wiggle back and forth. I recommend if you're going to do mascara, do your bottom lashes too. See the difference in between the eyes with this one having mascara on both and this one only having mascara on one. It just makes it look a little bit more polished, a little bit more finished. And especially if you want that wider eye look, doing the mascara on the lower lash line is going to help with that. So then I'm going to do this other side. I'm just doing that same back and forth motion. It can be kind of hard to talk and do mascara at the same time. I don't know why, but it can be. And there we go. So that is it for our eyes. We're gonna call it quits there. and I will see you guys next week. Be sure to comment on this video if you have any questions. I should be able to see those notifications and answer anything that you guys want to ask. Okay, I will see you next week. Bye.